Alright, so I know this isn't a kind of video I do a lot, but one thing that I've really been thinking about lately is the Winter 2021 anime season. Because this anime season has a very unique distinction. This is the season of sequels. There are an insane amount of high profile anime sequels and franchise continuations going on this season. I think there's like maybe 14, plus three of the biggest shows from last season are still fucking going. So yeah, and I admit, I am guilty of falling into the trap of only caring about the big sexy shit too. I literally put off starting anything new until like yesterday, so that way I made sure I had time for Dr. Stone, and like the only other thing I've been watching is I've been going through Slime Isekai to get ready for that. So yeah, I am part of this problem, and it's becoming a problem because more and more anime seasons have now. Obviously this anime season looks like this because of the pandemic. I think like half of these sequels were stuff that was supposed to come out throughout last year but got pushed back. But if you notice, even here in America and other countries, TV, because of streaming and streaming's reliance to keep the entertainment industry going right now, we're seeing more and more large profile stuff be on streaming, and it's sort of starting to ask the question, what's going to happen to the smaller stuff? What's going to happen to more experimental television, to the things that were retreating to streaming so they had the freedom to just happen and be unique and interesting? And while I'm not here to have that discussion necessarily today, I'm here to do my part to keep the little guys going. Granted, a couple of these are technically part of their own mini franchises, but you get my point. We're here to talk about the current anime airing. These aren't really in any order, besides one being the thing I liked the most because it's the only thing I watched so far. I didn't do a lot of research. I didn't do a lot of trailers. I'm literally just over here on Live Chart right now. I'm just looking at what's been popular thus far based on their first episode or two, and what I think will be the most interesting based on their synopsis. Also, Mother's Basement literally just released his video on the same subject, only he did 10. I'm only doing like 5 or so because I don't think I'll get to most of these. But I have not watched that yet, so I have not been tainted by any other opinions. These are just what I think based on some observations. So, y'all have heard enough. Let's just get right on into it with the first suggestion. So first up, let's get out of the way the thing you always got to talk about now with every anime season, whether you like it or not, and that is the isekais. Like it or not, this genre is here to stay, like that weird wart on your foot you can't get taken care of because you don't have health insurance. And this season we have 2 that look promising, so I'm cheating a little bit, but hey, it's my list, I can do whatever I want. First up for the isekais, we have Musho Tensei Jobless Reincarnation, and So I'm a Spider, So What? Can you tell I'm literally just reading these? The first one to me seems interesting because its premise seems a little bit different. The premise is about a guy who has recently gotten over being suicidal, only to then die and get revived as a child and probably go on big adventures. I think the angle that could be brought up of someone getting over depression and trying to start a new life based on that, I think could be very interesting. Now, seeing they come back as a small child makes me think of The Eighth Son, Are You Kidding Me? In my opinion, the worst isekai of all of them. But I think this is an interesting idea and could lead to an interesting character, and the first episode went over very well. A lot of names in the anime community, from what I just saw online over the week, seem to like it. So that's kind of a good sign, because most isekais people just look over at this point. The other one is here for more or less the opposite reason, and that is So I'm a Spider, So What? This is like the only Crunchyroll thing here, because let's be real here, Crunchyroll, I love you guys, but you're fucking slumming it this season. They only have big franchise shit, and this thing, which apparently had a really funny first episode. Someone recommended this in the Yu-Gi-Oh video at the beginning of the week. Apparently, this is actually really fucking funny. And, you know what, screw it. I could use a good laugh. We're all in a spiraling, miserable world right now. Let's watch something funny. So I think both of these, depending on what you're interested in, what else you're watching, I think is a good pick. I think I'll try and hit both these. There's a lot of isekais on this season, but these look promising and interesting. Next up on the list, and I swear this is the only other time I'm cheating, we have a recommendation from the romantic category. We have Horimiya, and bottom tier character Tomozoki. These are shows that, based on their premises, are romantically driven. And as a lonely Yu-Gi-Oh! Playing stand-up comedian, I'm starting to care more about relationships because I'm lonely. Anyways, these both are somewhat interesting to me. First up, Horimiya has actually been based on, I think, a manga from a while ago. So to see it finally get the adaptation, and I know it has a strong following, so there's a lot of attention on this one. If you go on LiveChart or even Mal, it is literally, other than the Isekai thing, is like the highest rated thing. So there's a lot of interest in this. So that has my attention there. The thing, though, based on its premise, though, I'm most interested in is bottom tier character Tomozoki. This is almost sort of like a gamer who teams up with the pretty girl gamer, and they're gonna do gamer stuff. And I don't know, that just sounds kind of fun and different to me. There aren't a lot of anime that deal with esports despite their popularity. I've liked the ones we've gotten thus far, but this is kind of interesting. I think the idea of mixing a romance, the idea of it's not just a boys club, I think is kind of a neat idea. It sounds a little cutting edge, 90s sports romantic movies, but you know what, fuck it. It seems like a neat idea, and I am kind of curious about this and both these. If I had to pick one or the other, I would just pick Tomozaki just because of its premise, but the hubbub around the other one really has me interested. Coming in at number 3 is Heaven's Design Team. This just sounds like such a weird, potentially funny premise. I don't even know if I'll get to this one, but this one's actually also on Crunchyroll. This one is like, these people design animals and now they've got to design heaven. A lot of people seem to just be giving the first episode a break just for being original and different. It just looks so weird and wacky. I feel like I gotta just try out at least the first episode just to see where it goes. They've gotta, like, design heaven, and God's a tough boss to have. I don't know, it just seems so weird and kind of funny. Like, I don't know, it just seems like one worth giving a try for the idea of it alone. Coming in the next spot is Skate the Infinity. Look, there is really only one reason to describe why this is here. I'm a simple man. When Studio Bones does something, I fucking watch it. It's the same thing with Studio Trigger. This studio has earned the right that if they put something out, it's an event. They're not like some studios where they're putting out like 3 or 4 shows a season. No. They do once or twice a year. It's My Hero Academia. So when they do a show, it's an event, and I think it is worth watching simply just for that reason. I don't even remember the premise. I know it's a skateboarding sports anime. It looks fucking great, so that feels like enough of a reason alone, and it just seems fun, and Studio Bones does fun, and I want to have fun, because number 1, I think might not end up being fun. Number 1 is the only show on here I've watched, and the main reason I wanted to do this video. Number 1 is Wonder Egg Priority, the show you should be watching. The first episode of this show, I watched it last night, was so poignant and hit me really fucking hard. In a world where people aren't well right now, and I'm not just talking about physically, mentally, we're all going through a lot. And even before the pandemic happened, Japan had a lot of issues, and still does, with things like depression, anxiety, suicide, all these problems that they didn't seem to want to address. We're very bad about it here in the United States too. Make no mistake, we're up there for addressing these issues very terribly. But the thing is, every time anime tries to talk about these things, it fails so miserably. Maybe ReZero does a good job of talking about depression, but that show has its own problems, which we'll get to eventually. But this first episode, I think, really made those subjects feel poignant and emotional and hit hard. Combined with how fucking visually beautiful this show is. Oh my god, all the colors are so luscious. All the designs of all the backgrounds are incredible. The running, just everything that happened in this, the character designs. I loved every second of this. And this is not based on anything. This isn't a manga. This isn't a light novel. This is an original production being head up by a guy who, when this was announced, this was only announced a few weeks ago. This was the latecomer to the party. But the guy who created this, like, he's not known for anime. He does a lot of normal TV stuff. So for him to go to this, it must mean that there was really something worth checking out here. And yeah, I think if there's one show for you to watch, it's this one. It has, in one episode, I felt this beautiful sense of drama, this sense of accomplishment by the end, the sense of world, everything about this I just fell in love with immediately. I know it's only a first episode, and we're only like, 4% through the year, but this is probably a headrunner for Anime of the Year for me. Again, I know that's crazy to say for now, but oh my god, just watch it for yourself if you haven't. This is the one I want everyone to watch. So yeah, that was my list. Will I get to all these? I mean, I'd like to. It's sort of hard to tell, but I wanted to put them out there. These are the things worth checking out that you should give a try to, or anything else. There's a lot of great stuff out this season, and tell me what you want to watch and are watching below. Tell me what you want me to cover in the future, and maybe we'll check up on these shows in a few weeks, see how they're doing. And as always, click to like, click to subscribe, and join me for more anime discussion going forward.